Hi lovelies, welcome back to the Doghouse Take 2. I hope you're still there. I appreciate if you're not, I get it. But we are back. I kind of worked it out under pressure. Really under pressure. We've got no one in the chat yet, Mike, so we may just be talking to ourselves. I don't know. Everybody's gone.
At least we're in good company.
Yeah, we are good company, but we're going to get on with it anyway in case anybody does tune in. I want to see if Facebook streams live. Guys, welcome to the Facebook. We had a disaster. We've lost people out the chat room just because, and we're going to go on from there. But basically, I'm going to start with the global weather and see if people come in. Seems like a good option to me to do, Mike. But I've actually fixed it, so I'm quite pleased with that. Oh, we got night and day. Thank you for still being around.
The lonesome pair, he says. How's the sound? Are we better now?
Yeah, let us know. Is the sound equal, or are we doing well? Is it back to where it was or should be? I've got both monitors up, so that would be interesting to see. Hi, folks. Super. Hi, Surfer 4. We had a disaster. Oh, no. Sack the staff. I'm the staff. Actually, it wasn't my fault and I've managed to fix it. But the sound, guys, is the sound okay? Can you hear us both okay? It's about the same volume and stuff. Could you let us know, please? Because
Hugh Jass is texting me and he said audio is bang on. So
Perfect.
We're good to go.
Okay.
He actually Chromecast this to his television in the living room so he can watch us on the big screen.
I know someone else who does that as well on Facebook, but I don't know if Facebook's streaming or not. I've got a Facebook story in a minute. Right, on with some world weather, guys. Thank you for joining us still. Sorry to let you down. I'll go into that another day. Alberta, -15. Toronto, +1. England, +9. Nice, south of France, +8. Malaga, +14. Camrose, -10. Cairo, +21. Rio de Janeiro, +31. Everybody down to Rio. Cairo, +21. Rome +4, Cape Town +20, Moscow is 0, Seoul, Korea, South Korea -4, Mumbai +26, Tokyo +2, Sydney +22, Oslo, Norway is 0. And thank you for joining us today, guys. Well, what an ordeal again. But I thought it was going to be a permanent problem, but I've got all my meters back. My client was very happy to come and see a tad later so I can stay for the show. Thank you very much indeed. It's much appreciated. I'd ask you to do a thumbs up, but we haven't done a very good job so far. Well, I haven't anyway. So I'm Ria Bow, welcome to the Doghouse, and he is Mike Phillip from American at Radio and KJJRadio.com. How are you doing, Mike?
Doing really good. I'm feeling your frustration, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm not the tech guy on this show, and I can watch other people be frustrated.
Yeah, I believe you. So Skype did a huge update. It connected to a different part of the software that we encode out, the stream out at, and I've lost the volume, so I couldn't adjust the volume. So what a disaster. Okay, so I know there's not a lot in the chat, but it's going to be an intimate one today, guys, and it is what it is, right? So, where are we? We are to talk about Facebook and Twitter. So, is it a case with you guys that Facebook is not cool and Twitter is cool? Or what's going on with the Twitter-Facebook thing, Mike?
I kind of see them both as the same thing anymore. Twitter is doing some kind of a big purge, apparently. That was supposed to happen yesterday. Apparently I wasn't offensive enough to get scrubbed off of Twitter, so I'm going to have to up my efforts, I suppose. But I do know a lot of people that have lost their accounts for posting similar things that I do on a regular basis. So, people complain about it, and I would like to remind them that you are playing in their playground. They can do whatever they want. So, I mean, we've got to move over to Minds.com, Gab AI. I don't have a Gab account yet. Oh, by the way, listen to this, Ria. We got a notice from YouTube back in October saying, congratulations, American Rock Radio. Your channel is approved for monetization. Well, I just got about 8 emails the other day. I think it was Friday. And they said, you are not approved for monetization. And we really hadn't put anything new on the channel except for an interview with Doug Force where we proved that Canada is basically a pretend country. So I'm guessing that Justin Trudeau phoned up YouTube and said, get rid of these guys. So there you go. In the space of under 4 months, they decided that we were not eligible for monetization. Gary Kemper, good morning, buddy.
Hey Gary, good to have you here, guys. Let everybody know we're back on air again. I could go through the technicals, but I can honestly say that one wasn't my fault. I was prepared really early. Mike was in early. We was all early. It was a tech thing. It's the live thing, right? Yeah, okay, so what happened? My Facebook story. So, hi again, Gary. Thank you for joining us. You're all stars. I love you all. And if I could do anything to for this not to happen, I would do it. But I did cross the T's and dot the I's my end. Sound is 5 + 5. That's a ham radio term, isn't it? You're not a ham radio dude, are you, Gary? Just question. Anyway, so Mike suggested to me about starting a Facebook page. We felt the pain between us, so the pain brought us together like pain does, right? So, because we're all sort of on the same page and all that. But then, as Mike says, we're not. It's in their playground. It's not a God-given right or anything. It's just the way it is. So you've got to work within the rules if you're going to play in that playground and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Night and Day says that it's because of my Dallas Cowboys jersey that we're having internet problems. So,
really,
not a Dallas fan. He's a San Francisco 49ers fan. I don't know if I can talk to you anymore, Night and Day. Right.
So Gary is a ham radio dude. I've got a ham license, Gary. All right. Long time ago, but a long time ago. I recognise 5 × 5. Anyway, so I started a Facebook page. So it's what I did. I did what anybody else did. I started I've got my personal page, and I saw add account, so I added an account, started one off, and then within 4 days of starting it, it went up to 5,000 friend requests, which is nuts. So it's now at
5,000?
Yeah. So it hit 5,000 friend requests. So it's now at 5,000. And then it was stopped because I now know that Facebook has a limit of 5,000. So I thought, right, okay, and there's loads more wanting to come in, hundreds, right? So I started another one, and a backup channel which I got from Justin Cringe. Hi, Jack. And I started that one off. It was identical to look at. It just said backup channel, and that it hit 1,800 friend requests in 3/4 of an hour, right? So. Wow. Yeah, I know, and then they just locked it, and that was it. Doof, you're not doing that, right? So 1,800 friend requests in 3/4 of an hour, hand on heart. It was going to hit 2,000 in an hour, but no, they locked it down. So I've had to do some stunts and tricks to keep the Facebook thing going. Hi, Facebook, if it is streaming, and thank you for coming. And that's the
Hugh Jazz says he says 5 × 5. He's got 2 HF radios, so we got a lot of hammers in the house here.
Yeah, I used to do ham. I did ham years ago when I was down in Africa. Cause, before mobile phones and everything. So, yeah, I know the deal, sweetie. I know the deal.
What were you doing in Africa?
Working.
As what?
As a PA to a CEO and owner of a securities company. That's how I started life, as a PA to an entrepreneur guy. I've done 2 stints like that and became the group CEO in the end. But yeah, that's the way the story goes. So anyway, so that was it. That was my Facebook story, and I wanted to ask, is there a difference between Facebook? Because I've mentioned Facebook and people have gone, ooh, and I'm thinking, but you're not doing that to Twitter. Zuckerberg. Don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Facebook in the first place. It got on my nerves. They I had an account and I went to log in one day and they notified me that I had to send them government ID. Otherwise they wouldn't let me log into my account. And I said, well, see ya. So I'm an admin, my wife has an account and we made her an admin on the American Rock Radio page. So I just log into her account and throw stuff on American Rock Radio, Tactical Health, and that's about it. But old Night and Day says, of course you can, Mike. It's always nice to have someone to look up to. Yeah, he's busting on me about this Dallas jersey. Fact of the matter, Night and Day, is that I am a diehard Chicago Bears fan. But I've kind of stopped watching the NFL lately due to their overt hatred of the country that gave them everything that they have. So, but like I said before, I'll be damned if I'm going to throw out or burn a $200 pro jersey because of politics. I just happen to like this shirt.
$200, blimey, how the other half live, Struth. Do you know what I mean? $200, blimey. I'd have to think twice before I spend that on a pair of boots. Right, okay, so where are we? So we're going to move it on. I wanted to, a bit of news. I just wanted to talk about the Facebook thing. Yeah, just mega discovery system. There is some problems with Minds.com, and there's a few problems that we can go into if you like, but I won't go into it just now. Right, has anybody heard yet? There's all the big news headlines out there, which I'm trying to duck and dive around so I don't bring you something that people have already done. Because we all sort of know what's going on, Obama's got some heat on and all that kind of stuff from Israel. Anyway, so we got one there. Right, okay. So I think Facebook gets on any intelligent person's nerves, but it's down here. Intelligent person's nerve, but it can be the means to an end. Yeah, no, totally. As for the shirt, they saw it coming. Ha ha ha. Right, okay, so I'm going to play. Have you heard about the new Disney release of the Trump robot?
What? The Disney release of a Trump robot? What are you talking about?
I am talking. See, ducking and diving the big news headlines, right? I've got a clip for you guys, okay? So I'm assuming you haven't seen this. This is a must-see. Hopefully the whole system runs up okay. You can hear it okay and all that kind of stuff. But here, I'm going to bring up a clip. Let me get in the right place here. Oh, wrong one. And back to there. Sorry about that. And we're going to take a look at the new Trump robot. Right, tell me... right, are we ready for this? Here we go. Have a listen to
the American president throughout history. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. From the beginning, America has been a nation defined by its people. At our founding, it was the American people who rose up to defend our freedoms and win our independence. It is why our founders began our great Constitution with three very simple words: we the people. Since that moment, each generation of Americans has taken its place in the defense of our freedom, our flag, and our nation under God. These are the achievements of the American spirit, the spirit of...
There you go, guys. What do you make of that, Mike?
Well, maybe Trump bot can knock up that one that wants to get pregnant in Saudi Arabia.
It's got its uses, you mean?
Hey, who knows?
He'll be walking out on the red carpet with Sophia.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just thought I'd show you that
one.
clip. So that is a new thing at Disney that people are going to be seeing. The kids are going to be seeing that. The parents are going to be seeing it. A new thing at Disney. Brilliant. Perhaps he will be dating Sophia. Right, that's a quick one, just to sort of lighten it up. Right, because you got you lovely Canadians in the audience, I've got a question, right? If you do comment, just keep it short to a few words if you want to. And stop when the screen's full. Not that there's that many of us in here today, because I didn't fluff it. It kind of went wrong. I want to know if you could change 3 things about Canada to make it a better place, what would they be? And you can't say ditch Trudeau. That's by default, right? So 3 things. Start with 1. If you can do 3 if you like. But Mike, we'll start with yours. 3 things that would make Canada a better place. And go.
3 things. 3 things that would make Canada a better place. Geez, that's tough. To be quite honest, to narrow it down to a top 3. First of all, I would eliminate multiculturalism, number 1. Number 2, I would eliminate the income tax. And number 3, I would advocate for the holding of constitutional conventions for every single province. Those are the 3 things. Eliminate multiculturalism, shut down the income tax, and hold constitutional conventions for the provinces. That's what I would do.
Right, so
3
one, get rid of multiculturalism, so they're all sort of Canadians, white Canadians. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what was number 2?
Eliminate the income tax.
Oh, nice. Just gone. And number 3?
Hold constitutional conventions for the provinces in order for them to forge their own destiny. That's what I would do.
Federalize kind of thing. Federalize the states.
Well, I mean, each province would make its own way. Instead of having a central government, I would get rid of the central government.
Oh, right, okay. Any of you guys got any views on that out there? That's quite interesting. Hi, Eric. Thank you for joining us. And it was a nightmare getting on air. You know the deal, right? Yeah, bad one. We're lucky to be back, actually, and we're lucky to carry on. So that's what it is. None of you guys? I thought you guys would have something to say. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Do you want to read that one out, Mike?
I do. Night and Day says create independent states. Well, that was my number 3. Ditch the Queen as head of state. Yeah, I mean, by abolishing the federal government, I agree 100%. Formulate and addition political party to give more choice, I suppose. Gary, 1, have everybody understand what the OIC is all about and how it affects you. Well, that plays in with my getting rid of multiculturalism. Eric Young says only white Canadians. No, Canadians, not white Canadians. I mean, if you're an old stock Canadian and you love freedom, you love liberty, I don't care if you're from Vietnam or if you're from Saudi Arabia, but you can't come here and promote your own culture and say that it's unfair if old Canadian culture is infringing on yours like these people are doing, which our government is actually promoting. So, no, not just white Canadians, real Westerners with Western values, with a love of liberty, freedom of speech, the right to carry and bear a firearm, whether it's concealed or not. Thanks, Eric. Gary Kemper, number 2, have everyone understand what the OIC is all about and how it affects you. Gary Kemper. 3, Alberta must be its own country. I've been harping on that for a long time, Gary. We need to get rid of the ball and chain known as Ottawa, but that plays along with my advocation of constitutional conventions for the provinces. Every province should be its own nation, and in fact, technically they are. This federal government is a scam. People just need to understand it. Eric says, respect to the country's peaceful ways. Very well said, Eric. I agree. By the way, Rhea, Hugh has a question for you.
Okay.
Please ask Rhea what band she operates in. Are you still doing ham radio?
Oh, no, I don't. It was back in the day, it was a long time ago. I still remember my stuff, though, obviously, because you've got to do the license courses and everything. And so I could go into it, right, but people won't understand it. The setup from the house, because we was down in South Africa and we needed to hit spots like Botswana, because we had another office in Botswana, one up in Kenya, and various different places around the world, and over to Brazil, because his brother was in Brazil. So the setup we had, I mean, we saw some mega setups, right, having a ham radio moment, right? Big fan, quarter wave, 10-meter vertical on 40 meters, opening around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we could sort of get up to, depending, you know, as it goes out, as the band opens and closes, we could get up to Botswana just as it opened and reach all the way back up to around Kenya and over to Brazil by sort of 3 in the afternoon. 40-meter quarter wave. And all the big players, as we know, were on big element beams on 20 meters. But it was a work thing, you know, because there wasn't the mobile phones. So that's what was going on. And we had the 4x4 as well with the big aerial at the front, like the UN have and that kind of stuff. So hopefully that answers your question. I won't bleat on about it too much. Right, okay, so any other comments? Right, so this leads me to another question. So firstly, Gary, after the video, would you do me a favour, please, and just drop a link in, you know, once the video's done, so we can find it afterwards, because we won't be able to find it in the live chat. Give us a link in the video to the OIC and something that can inform us all, so we can get on the same wavelength as you. I think that would be lovely, if you don't mind, please. Just drop a link in.
I've got another suggestion here for Canada from Hugh.
Go on then.
Change to electoral college for voting. Yeah, he advocates an electoral college system so that there would be fair voting across the country. We don't have that right now. In the House of Commons, Alberta, I think, has about 4 seats, and the city of Toronto has 7. It's grossly imbalanced. There's no representation out here. It's time for a Western Canadian style Tea Party. He also says, awesome, I operate in 11 meter above 27.405. I don't know what that means.
That's not ham, sweetie, is it? Right, so that's not a ham radio, is it? If you're on 11 meters. So yeah, I know what 11 meters is, and yeah, I didn't operate there. It was on everything, you know. I was on 10 and 12. It's you guys. I know where you are. I know where you are. That's cool though. That's all good. Right, moving on. So anything else about? Right. So here's another question about, as I brought up about Canada, 3 things that would make it better. Would you guys listening to this be more interested in challenging the current regime or beginning your own new one? So what do you think, Mike? Challenging the old regime more appealing than just starting a new one?
Well, like I said, with my comment about constitutional conventions for the provinces, yeah, it would eliminate the federal government as we know it today and the Governor General.
Right, okay. So my thoughts were here really, because how many people have been... Oh, we've lost Mike. That was that, as they say. He'll call back, I'm sure. A lot of people have spent a lot of time challenging the government, haven't they? And maybe not getting that far. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And I was thinking today... to start its own identity, to start a new identity, something. So when someone goes, oh, look, are you Canadian? Are you still proud to be Canadian or not? If you're not, then start a new identity, call it something, I don't know, whatever you want, New Canada, or Canada doesn't even have to be in the title. Then write a constitution and then get people on board to see if they identify with the same thing. So that's where my thoughts were today. Guys, let me read out some of these. Scrap the old one and make a new one from the ashes. I agree, Gary. I was thinking, because I was watching some of the videos on YouTube of how to start your own country, right? So that's where I'm going with it. So if the old one is that, just a write-off, I was thinking here we could think up of a name of a new identity for Canadians that aren't happy with Canada, right? Idea 1. Then get sort of a few governing people in there to write out a constitution of what you believe in, and then start to call it something, add a symbol like people do, and then see if you can get people on board that go, oh, what do you think about this and this? You know, you're a Canadian. No, I'm not actually. I belong to this. So that's what's going on there. They were my thoughts. What do you think, guys? Good. Happy Land. There you go. Happy Lands. How good is that? I'm a citizen of Happy Land. I'd join. Who wouldn't join? Call it Happy Land. I love that. Yeah, I'm into that. That's a good. So we got one name in the pot for a new sort of country within a country. Happy Lands. I love that. There's one in Europe just started called Lieberland, which I'm a member of. and there's a virtual one online called Bit Nation. I'm also a member of that, so that's a really interesting one. Check Bit Nation out. We seem to have lost Mike. He doesn't seem to be coming back, so I don't know what's happened there. I bet his has just updated. I bet the same has just happened to him that happened to me, so he may not be on for a while. So I need your support, guys. Right, world of crypto. Does anybody want to ask anything about cryptocurrency? Just drop it in there. So far we've got Happy Land. Thank you for that, Gary. That starts us off to see if anybody else wants to join in. Oh, here he is. Bear with me. And here he is. He's back.
The internet hates us today, Rhea.
Yep, I believe you.
My computer just shut down.
Yep, I know. It's the live thing, isn't it?
I think so. Yep.
Right. Okay. So I'll just fill you in where we was, and we've had one contribution from Gary. You're a star, Gary. If you wasn't happy, say you felt that the Canada's governing body, you know, which is largely the Brits, Canada Bowlands. Oh, okay, I get that. All right, yeah, cool. I'll go with that. So, if you was really unhappy with the Canadian arrangement, which I've heard quite a lot of, to be perfectly frank, I was saying, and Gary's in on the action as well, is start our own new identity, Mike. So, when they say you are Canadian, you say no. We'll go with Gary's one. I'm part of a new identity growing within Canada called Happy Land, or Canada Bowlands, right? So we're trying to think of names. Then we get a few governors together. It could be you, Kevin, Gary, Surfer 4, Eric, whoever. Write a small constitution to be expanded that isn't challenging the current regime. It kind of goes, no, actually, you get on with what you're doing. We're doing this, but we no longer identify as being Canadian. And then if you grew that big enough, an identity, then you could try and get some funds, buy some land and start your own country, which is quite simple to start your own country. So what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
You know what? I'm an anarchist. I am. I like the idea of anarchy. I really do. You know, people have been given this idea of anarchy where it's a bunch of guys with purple hair and mohawks and running around acting like a bunch of jackasses. But if the government dissolved tomorrow, we wouldn't all get up and run out and kill our neighbors. You just get up and go to work and do what you do. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of government. I'm a fan of self-government, is what I am. I believe that men were made to be free. And, you know, as we've discussed in subsequent episodes, you can choose to be free. It's just a matter of doing it and learning what it's all about and going about things the right way, putting pen to paper and declaring it. I've been a free guy for years now, and I have not committed any crimes. Gary wants me for Prime Minister. No dice, Gary. And not happening.
Right.
Freedom. So, yeah, well, that will do.
So, I was thinking that, so you think you'd sooner carry on challenge, you'd sooner go along raising awareness of what's going on in the world and doing what we're doing, rather than starting a new movement that's called this, it stands for this, come and join us, and come and join the train sort of thing for Happy Land, or whatever you want to call it.
I want to call it Don't Be a Dick.
Land.
Yeah, Don't Be a Dick Land. How about Free Land or Planet Liberty? I don't know. Something to do with freedom.
Happy Land can be yours. I quite like the idea. Anyway, it's just food
Happy
for
Land
thought.
can be yours for $4.99 for a limited time.
Yeah, because it can be done. It can be done. This is how these things start, you know. So I was thinking, if someone thought up a name, then I could draw up a symbol, then we could write a small constitution, and when someone goes, oh, what do you think about Canada or whatever, say, don't do that anymore, I'm doing this. So I thought that was quite an interesting take on things. Mike, do you want to pick up on a story before I move on to another one?
Well, I want to ask you, didn't Scotland just have a referendum on leaving the UK?
Well, they kind of did. Yeah, it's not really going to happen though, is it?
Fizzled, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, move on to your next story, Rhea.
Okay, so I sent you a link ages ago about MK Ultra and stuff like that. I just wanted to read this one out, which did a show, Happy Land, Iceland, Happy Land. Oh no, Ireland, Iceland, Happy Lands. Lovely, yeah. Right, okay. Canada gag order in CIA brainwashing case. 40 years after revelations that the US Central Intelligence Agencies funded brainwashing experiments on unsuspecting Canadians, the Trudeau government is continuing a pattern of silencing the victims. A lawyer of one of the families says a recent Department of Justice gag order in an out-of-court settlement was designed to avoid responsibility and avert compensation to more victims and their families, said Alan Stein, who has represented numerous survivors who were once patients at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, so these experiments actually went on for around 20 years. After you sent me that article, I had actually done a podcast with Dr. Glidden about it because, we talk about medical freedom and things like that. And this flies in the face of the Nuremberg Code. They had decided that people could not be medically experimented on without consent. I mean, if you were fully aware of the experiment and what was going on and you were cool with it, then yeah, fine. But as far as just experimenting on people, that is internationally illegal. Whether you believe that the Nuremberg trials actually held any water or not, there's kind of a school of thought on that. A lot of people think that it was a waste of time and a scam where they burned a bunch of low-level guards and allowed the upper crust of the Nazi regime to escape to a bunch of other countries like Argentina, the United States, Canada, and so forth. But yeah, the guy that was running those MK Ultra experiments was Dr. Ewan Cameron. And tell me this, how would you have a foreign intelligence agency conducting experiments medically on people of a foreign nation? Our government, if they were legitimate, should have arrested them and put them on trial. Bare minimum, deported them, right? So, yeah, it was disgusting. And they gave people acid without them knowing what it was. And have you ever done acid, Rhea?
Yeah, a long time ago in the woods. I've sort of scarred for life, actually, Mike.
I actually... probably 20 years ago when I lived in Calgary, I dropped acid with some friends and I ended up riding a bus for about 6 hours. And there was like big spaces between me and everybody else on the bus. No one would come near me. I don't know what I was saying, but I remember that. But I mean, if you've ever been on a hallucinogenic drug, it would be horrible to be on it and not know that. I mean, because that's the thing. If you did it, you know that, right? Like, okay, it's the drugs, right? You can kind of ride it out. But if you didn't know that you were on one, and all of a sudden you feel like your bones are melting or whatever the case might be, that would be terrible. And they were just inhuman experiments. They destroyed people's lives. I watched the testimony of one of the daughters of one of the experiment victims of MK Ultra in Montreal, and she said they lost their mom. When she eventually did get out of there, she had no personality left, and as kids they didn't understand it. They were angry with her, and she's dead now. But a bunch of letters that she had written while she was under this experimentation, her daughter got access to and realized what happened and then sued the government. And I think they gave her, what was it, $150,000 at the same time as our government is giving ISIS terrorists and enemy combatants $10.5 million. That seems to be the going rate if you're an enemy of the West. $10.5 million. Almost worth joining ISIS over. if it wasn't for the ugly chicks and the weirdos and beards telling you what to do all day.
Bow wow.
Oh, speaking of weirdos and... Sorry?
Bow wow.
Bow wow. Roar, 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 roar. So speaking of weirdos, I saw an article. This imam in Turkey was saying that men should have beards because men without beards confuse other men because they are just too attractive. I think that says more about him than anybody else.
I think it does. They need to decide who's a giver and who's a taker. Look, Phoebe, nice one, Phoebe. Phoebe had a name for it as Libertania. That's quite cool, isn't it? I quite like that.
I like it. I like it, Phoebe. Libertania.
Libertania. Well done, Phoebe. Right, Phoebe, you've got yourself a job. Right,
you are the new namer of countries.
You are the new namer of our movement of Libertania in Canada or wherever, I guess. But we're dealing with.
Hey, how about Kekistan?
Yeah, that that could easily be mistaken for something else. So we've got Libertania. We just need a few constitutions written in, and we're sort of, I'll design a symbol. And we'll see if we can get a movement together, you know. And I don't want to start political discord with the current political system. I just want to go, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing this. I kind of like just sidestep the nuisance, as it were. It's come up on Skype that your speakers are muted, Mike, but they're not muted. So, right, do you want to pick it up the night and day stuff, please, Mike, on the messaging?
Yeah, Night and Day says, with all the mistakes other countries have made running their affairs, surely if a new state was to materialize, the cream of policy ideas and innovations could be employed to get it right. Absolutely, man. And with the technology that we have, for creating voting systems, honestly, I think that politicians should be held to a much higher standard. If you're going to try to get elected to an office where you can formulate policy that has the potential to do great good or destroy people's lives, I think that you should volunteer to lose your life or bits of it while you are in office. I think that politicians should be under camera that citizens can have access to at any time. So there's no such thing as a private meeting. There's no such thing as a lobbyist approaching them to change law on their behalf, all within the scrutiny of every citizen of the land. I think that that could be done. Also, I think that if a politician is caught lying, they should be horsewhipped in the public square. I firmly believe that. Night and Day goes on. You just need a bunch of honest, intelligent people running it, sometimes sadly lacking in most situations.
Sometimes.
Therein lies the problem, Night. Honesty and intelligence.
That's right. Just sometimes, all the time, right? Yeah, point out an honest one. Even if they went in that way, would they come, by the time they've been through the mincer? That's a bit iffy. Phoebe says I'm too muzzy, which I think I'm too busy. But Phoebe's is a good one. Right, you're right. It's always pass the buck. Yeah, always pass the buck. That's like the global political thing, isn't it? It's them, no, it's them, no, it's them, no, it's them. That's what kind of goes on.
Gary says a little Sharia doesn't hurt, eh, Mike? Are you being sarcastic, Gary?
I think he is. I think
so.
Right, so far, right, we'll do a vote on it and all that kind of thing, because we're going to have to be the board, although Phoebe's busy, but she's sort of connected with it now. So are we happy with Libertania? I kind of quite like Libertania. So it could be the beginning of a new movement, power to the people and all that kind of stuff. Phoebe, don't elect anyone under 35. Ooh, there's a bit of a constitution. Look, Mike, what do you think?
I would actually make that 50.
Really?
Honestly, I would. Yeah, man. Well, young guys are not suited to serious positions. I mean, I used to be one, okay? And I wasn't real focused at 35. I mean, I was. I worked hard and I had a family, but I'm a lot more focused today. I think that it should be a lot older. I think I know what Phoebe's talking about with Too Muzzy, and Gary Kemper says a little Sharia doesn't hurt. Because I said Kekistan. Now, Kekistan. Have you heard of Pepe the Frog? Right? Pepe the Frog that triggers leftists and all these Trump memes that was going around. Well, people online had created this imaginary place called Kekistan, and they were saying praise Kek, and it wasn't a Muslim thing. It was actually designed to trigger leftists because they didn't know what it was. You know, it goes great with your Cov Fev, or, you know, it was one of those things. So, there you go.
Okay.
I did not mean Kekistan like, you know, Kanakistan or anything like that. No, did not mean it to be muzzy sounding.
Oh, okay. Kazakhstan and all that kind of stuff. Has anybody ever seen
Right.
Borat? You ever seen Borat, Mike?
I made it 15 minutes into Borat, and I grabbed my wife and walked out of the theater and demanded my money back. I thought that was the stupidest damn steaming pile of horse shit I ever saw in my life.
Yeah, well, his sister was the second best hooker in Kazakhstan. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to go on to another one.
Second
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it did take some palate. Right. I forgot the accent. In my frizziness and muzziness, I forgot the accent. So I'm just going to play the accent because I quite like this one. See what you think, guys. We're going to come out the rabbit hole, then we're going to go back in because I've got quite a big story. So, where's this person from? Have a listen.
It's a really nice place. A really chilled place in some places, and a really busy and bustling place in other places. This is a really nice map that I found, so it just shows you some.
Do you want it again? I'll go one more time.
It's a really nice
Let's hear it
place.
one more time.
A really chilled place in some places, and a really busy and bustling place in other places. This is a really nice map that I found, so it just shows you some.
What do you think, guys? Drop it in the chat. Where do you think he's from?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm not going to put you through it too much, but it come up on my thing and I missed it all, and it's all gone wrong today, isn't it? So we're just making good. Where have we got? What does that say? Phoenix Land.
Phoenix Land,
Oh,
like
from
the phoenix
ashes.
rising from the ashes.
Oh. Okay, I got you right. On to another story. We're just going to move on. Keep the ideas coming though. Names, a good name. I think we're all sort of on board with Phoebe's at the minute, but we've got to take a vote on that and all that kind of thing. But we have got the forming of one of the constitutional rights where they've got to be over 35. So we need to talk about how old. We've got between 35 and 50, otherwise you can't get in. I would have a concern that someone's out of touch unless they're kind of a sprightly 50-year-old sort of thing that knows their stuff. Okay, good one. Okay. And so want to know where that accent's from? Any ideas? Right, I'm going to move on to another one. Orwell's dystopian CCTV surveillance state comes to life in China. Big letters. Who's next? Right, let me read this out. It's quite a lot to read. Imagine a world where many of your daily activities were consistently monitored and evaluated. What you buy at the shops and online, where you buy it at any given time, who your friends are and how you interact with them, how many hours you spend watching content or playing video games, and what bills and taxes you pay or not. It's not hard to picture because most of that already happens thanks to those data collecting behemoths like Google, Facebook and Instagram, and also the health tracking apps such as Fitbit. But now imagine a system where all these behaviours are rated as either positive or negative and distilled into a single number. According to rules set by the government, that would create your citizen score, and it would tell everyone whether or not you were trustworthy. Plus, your rating would be publicly ranked against that of the entire population and used to determine your eligibility for a mortgage or a job, where your children can go to school, or even just a chance of getting a date. What do you think, Mike?
Well, we already kind of have that. I mean, this is a little bit more on the nose, I guess, but I mean, people leave their computer open in their living room or their bedroom all the time when it's commonly known that anybody can hack your camera. and it's very easy to do. In fact, I've seen people do it. I've had friends that can open up just about any camera anywhere, and it only takes them under 2 minutes. So we already kind of have that. The thing about China that's funny is that I've known several people that have lived there, and they've told me that what they liked about it was the freedom that they had. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's a communist country. And they said, no. It's communist, and certain things are unacceptable and will get you locked up for life that wouldn't here. But the level of regulations, like you can get drunk in the street, you can walk into a restaurant with your own booze, you can, there's a lot of things that you can do there that are extremely over-regulated here. But the only thing is that if you do speak out against the government, that is highly intolerable. But if you just keep your head down, you can have a great time in China. Night and Day Plumbing Solutions. London and the UK was first with regard to CCTV cameras. Are absolutely everywhere. China are only playing catch-up. Yeah, they had that system on the buses. They tried that out in Toronto and Vancouver as well, where the buses had cameras all the way around, and as they would go down the street, they would run a license plate through Interpol, through Scotland Yard, through CIA, FBI, CSIS, RCMP, all these databases in real time, scanning for warrants and with facial recognition. So, I mean, what China's doing is kind of being implemented worldwide, wouldn't you say, Ria?
Oh, absolutely. That was the end of the thing, wasn't it? Who's next? It's already going on. We have credit scores that are public, don't we? But a citizen score is very Orwellian, isn't it? A citizen score, or you spend too much time on this site and you don't say yes to the right things here and all that kind of stuff. That's what my take on it is. It's just like a bit more of that Orwellian picture. And it is like they've read 1984, isn't it? And they've gone, excellent, we're going to use that as a handbook to build the future. No, that's really
it was
bad.
Funny because Hillary Clinton received a gold embossed copy of 1984 as a birthday gift just a couple of years ago. And I think they were all kind of laughing like it was funny. But I mean, and listen, 1984 by George Orwell, a.k.a. Eric Blair, written in 1948, was mandatory reading in high school when I was a kid, and we all couldn't imagine a world like that. Like, how could this happen? Right? How could this happen? But it's actually worse now than what they envisioned in 1984. 1984, you didn't have people with their little screen in their hand walking around the streets, running into telephone poles because they couldn't take their eyes away from it. Did you see in Germany they were talking about putting lights on the ground so that people could walk around like zombies without taking their eye off their phone and not stumble into traffic? We covered that on my show a little while back. And I mean, on another story we covered, they were putting airbags around light posts so that people looking at their phone wouldn't break their nose running into it.
Nuts.
That was not in 1984, but we've got that.
As we spoke about the other day, they've got robots hoovering up homeless people, haven't they, in San Francisco? And, they've got the money for the robots, but not for the homeless people. Okay, so I thought that was quite interesting. We covered the night and day one. Okay, moving on to another Chinese one, turning up the heat a little bit more. Population registration program in China will collect the DNA of every adult in Xinjiang province. The Chinese government is undertaking a population registration program that involves gathering DNA samples, fingerprints, iris scans and blood types of all residents in the region between the age of 12 and 65 in said province. So again, I think it's coming to us as well. That's a bit more evasive though, don't you think, Mike?
Well, I've heard it reported actually that Western hospitals were already doing that, and then we have a DNA database in North America. I actually had heard reports of that several years ago. Alex Jones was covering it on InfoWars and a couple of different alternative news sources. So this isn't the first time that I've heard of it, and I've actually heard that that has already been in practice and for quite some time. Whether it is or not, I don't know strictly for sure, but I've heard that that's happening.
Okay, no problem. I thought I'd bring that up. It's just what you see in other bits of the world, because they're all talking to each other. I'm thinking it's not going to be long before it's here, kind of thing. A little bit of that going on. No one has had a stab at the accent. Is that because you have no idea, or is that because it's too quiet? Just bear that in mind. Right, Mike, have you got anything that's caught your eye, your end, that you want to bring up?
Well, I did catch this article by this smarmy blogger over in the Huffington Post, and it wasn't so much the article that got my attention as the comments section. Listen to this headline, okay? And this is a blogger for the Huffington Post writing this, okay? So-called free speech isn't worth fighting for. Okay, this is a blogger. Somebody who writes down their thoughts for a large website. All right? Now listen to this guy. On Monday night, the president and vice chancellor of Wilfrid Laurier University released a statement announcing the results of an external fact-finding report launched to investigate what happened after teaching assistant Lindsay Shepherd played a clip of University of Toronto professor Jordan Peterson on the agenda with Steve Palkin, where he explained why he refuses to refer to someone by their gender pronoun of choice. According to the actress and transgender advocate Laverne Cox, misgendering people is an act of violence. Now, this gained a lot of attention in Canada because Lindsay Shepherd was brought in before this little tribunal of university professors because she dared show a video to this class of university students of this outrageous University of Toronto professor, Jordan Peterson, talking about gender pronouns. Now, this created a lot of outrage across the country. The university was forced to apologize to her. She was crying. She had the wherewithal to record the meeting, which is a good thing that she did. But I'm telling you, these professors were just nuts. One of them was putting out official publications under his, I'm an intellectual, so this is what I'm going to write about, and I'm smart, so you got to listen to me. It was like, you don't have to go to sadomasochist clubs to be part of the sadomasochist community. How is that intellectual? How is it? But at the same time, these are the people that are lecturing this student because she dared show a video of a fellow university professor. So this writer, this blogger, who free speech is bad, right? So I'm not going to give you the whole article because it's too long, but I am going to get into the comments section because there is not one comment in the whole section on a major left-wing website that supports this guy. Not one. And I'm surprised that they haven't disabled the comments yet because usually that's what they do. But even lefty and liberal types who I'm not a fan of are not buying into what this guy's saying. This is too hardcore even for them. And so free speech is alive and well in Canada. Motion 1 M103, these transgender pronoun laws are not going to stand. So, good for you, Canadians.
Oh, there you go, guys. Mike's gunning for. I had to turn him down a little bit. We started to hit the red line then, Mike. I'm just turning you back up again. Nice.
I was raising my voice a bit.
We've also got a comment on the cross-platform chat from Ivan. Privet, Ivan. Privet. Hi, Ivan. Thank you for joining us from whatever platform you're from. Okay, so that's a bit about that. Any comments in the post about that? Gary Kemper never liked Huffington Post anyway. It's a proper lefty thing, isn't it? I'm not bang up to date with it, but I've heard a few comments saying it is it's a leftist thing, isn't it? And was it that guy on YouTube, David Seaman, got the bullet from there, didn't he, Mike?
Sorry, repeat that, Ria. I did not hear you correctly there.
There's a guy with glasses on the YouTube that lunched out on the Pizzagate story and sort of took a bit of a beating. David Seaman, I think he is, got the bullet from HuffPost. So it was just about how left wing the Huffington Post is, really. Again, Privyet, Ivan, if you are from Russian, it looks like Russian to me. So. Right, anything else that you want to pick up on, Mike, or are you done?
Well, I want to tell Ivan I'm a big fan of Russia, and I really dig your President Putin there. Hey, I think that our country should be more aligned with you guys, and I want to say from an American and a Canadian, right on Russia, thanks for joining us. Glad to see you. And Huge Ass says, I give up on the accents. I'm always wrong. Well, so am I, but I still try.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a combo, isn't it? Because if I make them too easy, it's just getting a balance. But there's a lot of accents out there. If you give up, you give up. There's certainly nobody had a stab at it. I'm going to play it one more time just for good measure. Because I like accents and I'm not bad at accents, so I quite enjoy them, and a lot of people did. So I'm going to play it one more time. Where do you think this guy's from? And here we go.
It's a really nice place, a really chilled place in some places, and a really busy and bustling place in other places. This is a really nice map that I found, so it just shows you some.
Not easy on that one, is it? I was waiting for Surfer 4 to come in and go America. No.
Iceland.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Iceland. Yeah, I get that.
Iceland.
I kind of get that. That's okay.
Reykjavik.
Yeah, they've got, when they speak English, it is a very strong accent. We've got a South Africa. So we're getting them in. Interesting. South Africa and Reykjavik got an Iceland. Right, okay, what else are we going to look at? So, I'm just looking at the time. What do, I think most newspapers have gone leftist. Even my silly town paper has gone that way. Do we know any sort of righty ones, or people that want to sort out their own backyard? Do we know of any of those, Mike?
Well, yeah, we do, but I mean, even the ones that are considered right-wing or conservative here in Canada are still, like, conservative light. I can't believe it's not conservative. They just don't go far enough. Phoebe says, I think most papers have gone leftist, even my silly town paper's gone that way. Yeah, they have, 100%. The Toronto Star, which Kevin J and I make a habit of taking apart. They actually have started mentioning Kevin. They hate him. The Toronto Star hates Kevin J. Johnston.
I bet.
They are failing. They're having to lay people off. They're looking to get government bailouts to keep them going because they're smoking their own dope. They think that people like and appreciate the things that they have to say, but nobody does. Conservatism and libertarianism are extremely popular, and these newspapers and news services, they're a paper tiger. They like to advertise bigger than they are. I'd like to point out too, Carlos Slim just dumped half of his stock in the New York Times, and he had voting shares. So I mean, everybody's walking away. Phoebe Long says Carlisle, England. Where's Carlisle?
Carlisle is on the border of England and Scotland on the northeast coast. Good guess though, Carlisle, South Africa, Poland or Middle Eastern. We had another one as well, didn't we? That's interesting. It's not the easiest one to get. I'll give you another go on it. Have a quick listen. Oh, no, you're not. Here we go. Let's just... Here we go again.
a really nice place. A really chilled place in some places, and a really busy and bustling place in other places. This is a really nice map that I found, so it just shows you some.
Interesting, very interesting. Okay, so we're going to move it on into a bit of uncharted territory. Another headline: World Bank stop funding oil and fossil fuel by 2019. So, Mike, and you guys at home, what do you know about Carlisle? Is the northwest? Sorry, yeah, it is the northwest. It's over this side, isn't it? Which is this side to you. Carlisle is near where people used to go and get married. I can't remember what the name of the place is. They could get married younger. What do we know about the World Bank? And what do you think, Mike? What have you got on the World Bank? Anything?
Yeah, they talked about defunding oil and gas exploration projects. Well, I'll tell you what. When the oil patch started up in Alberta, the Canadian government did not help them. They had no help from the banks. It was actually U.S. investors that came up and helped out, and a lot of it was just wildcat drilling, in which case they did not have any knowledge of what was in the zones. They just suspected that oil was there, and it turned out to be profitable. And then at that point, the government said, well, we got to get involved in this now because they're making money off of it. But, I mean, if the World Bank wants to, or the IMF wants to stop funding oil and gas exploration, go ahead. The infrastructure's already there. And with the existing wells for oil and gas that we have, we could keep the planet going for 250 years. The only reason it's so expensive because of this whole artificial scarcity scam that they've got going, kind of like diamonds in South Africa with the De Beers families and whatnot. But, yeah, go ahead, get out of it. We don't care. Screw off. We've done it without you this whole time, and we'll continue. If technology comes along where oil and gas are not needed, fine. But I don't think that that's going to happen. If they're talking 2019, if they stopped all oil and gas production by death in their houses, and that's just how it is.
Okay, that's fine. So you froze a bit there, but we kind of got it all. Okay, so we've got that going on the World Bank. So I just want to have a quick over the top with a quick look at the World Bank. You know, we're looking at having the funding directed in our own countries to the right places, which I think a lot of people take an issue with because we feel that it's going to the wrong places, right? Whole other story, okay? Well, here's the thing about the World Bank. There's about 190 something, 5 countries in the world, of which something like 180 belong to the World Bank. So why do they belong to the World Bank? Canada, the UK, America's been in since 1945. So this is what I've learned so far, is that they call them member states like they do in Europe. Each country pays a percentage of the GDP over the top of GDP. Oh, we've got another one in from another platform. DIQUITH, DIQUITH Kispli. I think that's Russian. I don't know if that's Russian. Are you Russian? Don't know. Hello though. DIQUITH Kispli. Hi. And the World Bank pays in. If the country has a good year, that country pays X amount to the World Bank. So out of 190 something countries in the world, 180 odd belong to the World Bank. At the end of the year, when the GDP figures come out, oh, he says hello, we give a percentage of the GDP to the World Bank, right? So I've just managed to get some figures on England. The last time we paid in, we paid him about 12.8 billion, okay, for 1 year from one country. Just think of that times 180 odd. And with that, as soon as that transfer's made from the country's bank account to the World Bank, and the World Bank is based in DC, they instantly take 10% of that money for themselves to do that transaction. So that's 10% of little old England's 12.8 billion goes straight into pay the execs or whatever happens with that. and we give them that money, right? So when they've got all that money coming in from all these different countries, they're sitting on a lot of money. Now with that, they've been given that money. So with that, they then loan that money out for interest.
And interest.
And interest, yeah. What, Mike?
I said add interest, no doubt.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. But 10%'s off just for the transaction fee. And then what happens is they're sitting on a bunch of money, a sea of money. And that is to deal with poverty. That's the line. Look on the internet at the World Bank. You sort of see what they do. They do a few different things, but with that money, they're supposed to fund poverty. Well, you think of the kind of money that's going in that bank, right? From all over the world, the countries that have signed up. One, I want to ask you about Canada, Mike. What does Canada get out of being part of the World Bank and all that money that they pay the World Bank to address poverty? Question one. And question two, can you find out, you lovely Canadians or wherever you live, how much your country pays the World Bank and what your country gets from it? Because at the minute, it looks a bit stinky because you've got all this money coming in, but yet we have poverty all over the world, and they've got a bunch of money they're saying is to deal with poverty. So I just wanted to bring that up, Mike. What do you think?
Well, most likely Canada gets ripped off and spanked in the whole deal. Well, specifically the taxpayer. But I don't know for certain. I don't know what we contribute, but I would put money on it that it's ridiculous, and it sounds like a big money laundering scheme in the first place for certain people. So, I mean, yeah, night and day agrees. The World Bank is the biggest scam ever to hit the planet. I don't doubt the rich and important are running the show and seriously creaming us. Yeah, I mean, it's a big ripoff. Everything that these guys do, I'm tired of these people. I really am. I just want them to go away, to be quite honest.
Libertania.
Libertania.
Yeah, Libertania.
Hey, Libertania. Right.
All right.
We're gonna rule the world.
That's right. We're not playing your game anymore. Actually, we're starting Libertania. We don't even want to go into discussions with you because you're on a different page. We're doing Libertania, and the people that are going to be in charge are over 35. But we're still in debate. We're still writing the constitution for Libertania. But I'll knock up an emblem and everything, and it'll begin from the doghouse sort of thing. Right. Okay. We're starting getting near the end.
If any bankers walk into Libertania, you'll be shot.
Yeah, just get the hell out. There'll be no instruments of debt. No. We'll run the whole show on cryptocurrency. No debt occurred. And yeah, and we'll have one neighbour selling carrots to the other guy that's got the potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Kind of cool. Right. Okay, moving on a bit more. It's great to see some people in from other countries. Although you can't see them on the screen, guys, I can see them here. Ivan, Haya, and Dequich Kispli, hi, Privyet. And what else have we got? Right, so what have you got for the doghouse, Mike?
Well, first of all, I just want to say hi to everybody, all these Russian-sounding dudes showing up here. They're probably here to see the hot British chick, but big hello from Mike in Western Canada here. By the way, Hugh just texted me 1.3 billion over 3 years in 2007, and I'm assuming that is what was taken from us, not given to us. He also guessed Sweden for the accent.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah. Who have I got for the doghouse?
Well, have a think, because you haven't got anything there for a second. Let me play the accent one more time, because I've got this in the wrong order.
Okay.
Sorry, go on. Say it again, Mike. Mike, you still
Say
there?
what? I can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah. Okay, all right, I'll take it from here. I'm going to play the accent one more time, and then I'm going to tell you where he's from. So we've got all these different ones. Have a listen.
It's a really nice place. a really chilled place in some places, and a really busy and bustling place in other places. This is a really nice map that I found, so it just shows you some.
Okay, so
A really nice place.
So where do we think he's from? So we've got a Sweden, a a Carlisle, an Iceland. Anywhere else? None of you are correct. Oh, and we had a South Africa from Eric. Good call, Eric. Yeah. Eric's the closest. That was from Zimbabwe. There you go. That was Zimbabwe, the land of inflation and all that kind of stuff. So
we can assume the bad guy is dead now.
Yeah, possibly.
Because he sounded white.
Yeah, it's probably not gone well.
Why am I laughing?
Totally. So the doghouse, Mike, what have you got?
I'm going to go with night and day, the World Bank. If we could fit all of us in we're going to need a bigger doghouse, but yeah, good job, Eric. Good job. Prize, what does he get, Rhea?
Prize,
Gonna go to his house and give him a big old kissy wissy?
Yeah, okay, let me think about the prize. I was going to do a crypto reward, wasn't I? But I'm just trying to feel it out if people are into guessing the accent. I love it, but I wish someone else was doing it so I could guess it, you know, but because I like the accent thing. I'll think of the prize, Eric. Leave that with me. Caveat, leave that with me. Okay, so my thing for the... who can disagree with the World Bank? That's the World Bank, the IMF, they're right in the middle of the whole thing. Ooh, from Eric. And for me, it's anyone who... For the doghouse, anyone who gets in the way of the latest Obama investigation from Israel. So if you get in the way of that and you stop that happening, you're in the doghouse along with the World Bank. You're in, and that's that. What do you think, Mike?
Right, and it stinks in there. So, you know.
It does.
Stay away from the doghouse.
Yeah. Borax.
Eric Young says Indian food.
Yeah, he would have a good point with that. He would have a very good point with that.
Have you ever walked in a building that is largely inhabited by people from India or Pakistan, and the smell of curry is so thick in the air that you can almost, like, cut it with a knife like you're walking through lard? It's so thick, the smell of curry. Have you ever walked into a building like that?
I have. I used to work in a company where I was the only white person there, and they were all Asian.
Phoebe says, hello, Russia.
Yeah, hello, Russia. Privyet. From the UK, from Canada, from wherever people are listening to. Good to have you on board. I can't say their names again because I did a pretty poor job on that. I don't know how well the stream's going out. I don't know if it's going to Facebook because we had all that disastrous stuff, so we'll see. Right, okay. So, Mike, have you? No, I'll do the shout outs first. Have you guys got any shout outs you'd like to bring to people's attention for us to look at? And also, Hugh sent that message in saying about all that money. Hugh, was that in reference to the World Bank and what Canada gives the World Bank? Is that what you was referring to? I'm just curious about that.
I said I guarantee that's what we're giving out, not what we're getting, and he confirmed yes, and that was in 2007. So 10 years later now, I'm guessing that's probably a lot more. Because just this government that we have. I'm just guessing. Eric Young says Indian people eat Chinese food too. Right on. Well, why not? I mean, you're only going to be hungry in another hour, but sure.
Yeah, we don't want to be foodist. Not at all. Okay, if you guys have got any shout outs that you want to bring our attention to, Mike, I still didn't hear the number. How much did Hugh say Canada is giving the World Bank? How much was the number?
It was, hang on a second here. I gotta look at my phone.
That's okay, sweetie. You do what you gotta do.
1.3 billion over 3 years. $1.3 billion over 3 years. Now, think about this. There's only about roughly 40 million people in Canada.
Oh.
$1 billion. Okay,
well, that's
from
interesting
40
because
million people.
The UK's was 12.8 billion. So we need to sort of bring that into question and see what's going on. Okay, I want to do some shout outs before I move on. Good one, Eric, on the Chinese food. Not that I've ever seen that before, but good one. Shout outs. Right, I want to bring your attention to a guy. This guy's lesser known. Do you like straight talking? Do you like someone who says his mind? I think you're that kind of crowd. Do you know what I mean? I want to bring your attention to a guy called Pat Condell. If you've never heard of him, I'm guessing you maybe haven't. Got massive views, 100,000 views and everything. Pat Condell on YouTube. P-A-T, Pat Condell, C-O-N-D-E-L-L. Pat Condell. You have a listen to this guy go. He says it how he sees it. He's really likeable as well. What else we got? We got, for you that are just getting into cryptocurrency, your boy Ben at BTC Sessions in Canada, Calgary, has just done a beginner's video of using a multi-currency wallet on your phone, and it's simple, it's clear. He's done it really well. I'll leave the link, just say if you do, but look up Ben at BTC Sessions and of what a multi-currency wallet looks like on your phone, and everybody's got the phone. We've got a shout out from Gary Kemper, a great documentary about our money is Bill Still, The Secret of Oz on YouTube. You've said that before, Gary, and that kind of slipped through. That's a nice thing about only having a few of us, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to need to check that out. Again, can you put the link in the final video sort of thing that goes out on Facebook as well, if you would? That would be good. If this video is there on Facebook, I don't know. I've got a website shout out for the Global Research, the Centre for Research on Globalization, GRC. They're on Twitter. Great site. Oh, messages have gone off. It's a great site, and it's the Centre for Research on Globalization, brackets CRG. And on Twitter it's at CRG_CRM. They're pretty good. They watch the globalist thing. I want to do a shout out for Ryan Fontier, has started following us on YouTube, on Twitter, or following me. His Twitter is at Ryan A Fontier. Fontier spelt F-O-U-R-N-I-E, and he is a political commentator and strategist and chairman of the At Trump Students. So everybody that he's a young guy, he looks really cool, he's got some go in him, you know. He's pro-Trump and all the students that go with it. Again, the Twitter is at Ryan A Fontier. Fontier, F-O-U-R-N-I-E-R. Ryan Fontier. And he started to follow us on there. Anything else? Right, Mike, do you want to do your finals?
I think that I've pretty much said all that I want to. I want to ask Eric, though. You asked earlier, just white guys. Now you said Indian people eat Chinese food too. What are you? Are you Indian? What are you? Just out of curiosity, not because I really give a shit, but what are you?
But he gives a damn enough to ask. So, balls in your court, yeah. Eric. Yeah, so whilst Eric types that in, I'm going to be I want to check out this Ryan Fontier. Fournier. Ryan Fournier. And his website is ryanfournier.net. So, and he's not at the top of this Trump student thing. They've got a lot of followers on Twitter. So it's worth checking out. Right. Oh, he's English, Mike.
All right.
There you go. So Angleterre.
I like him already.
Good one. Right, Mike, so are you done? Are we ready to shut this thing down?
I am ready to shut this thing down. Everybody join me over at kjjradio.com or Facebook Live with Kevin J. Johnston. Tonight we've got two great guests. Bill Tufts, who is an expert on pensions and the economy. And then we've got an international terrorism expert named Tom Quiggin, who just wrote a brand new book called The Dangers of Political Islam. And Bill is in the first hour. Tom is in the second hour. See you over at kjjradio.com tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Eric, I know I'm cool, but thanks anyway. So are you, buddy.
You're such a stud muffin, Mike, honestly. Okay, guy, thank you for joining us, you know, for sticking around as well. What a disaster, minutes before we go on again. It's either like really bad or goes really quite good and we can't hit the in-between thing. To you Russian guys that have joined us off different platforms, lovely to have you on board. Privyet. But we're going to say goodbye from here. Don't forget to do a thumbs up if you like it, and I understand if you don't, if it was all a bit awful. Post the links in the videos below. Big love from me, Riabo in the UK, and Mike won't say it, but he loves you as well. Well, he might say it. It's getting quite liberal. And I'm going to play you out with some music and some topics that we're going to be covering in the future. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.